There's a common misconception about people when there are cases that are going on and the person on the other side is not represented by an attorney. I found that most of the time my client thinks that it's supposed to be so much easier because the person on the other side is not represented by an attorney. Well, a lot of times, especially if the facts are neutral or especially if the facts are in our favor, then the other person generally will not stand a chance. However, if the facts are in their favor, it won't necessarily mean that you are completely out of the woods just because they're not represented by an attorney. But one thing that I found to be absolutely certain, if the other side does not have an attorney there, it generally will make my client's case more expensive. And that may sound weird, but the reality is what ends up happening is the person on the other side who is not represented by an attorney and they are not an attorney themselves, you end up having to fight tooth and nail with these people about every little thing because they don't know the law necessarily. They don't know the rules and they don't know how these things generally go. So when there are things that are routine that another attorney would not give you an issue with, things that we would just do and get it done as a matter of course, a pro se person is going to fight with you about it. And it just ends up making the case way more expensive than it otherwise has to be. If you're represented by an attorney and your attorney is telling you that, number one, that he or she has to talk to the other side, that is absolutely accurate. They represent themselves. And just like you would have to speak with the attorney on the other side, your attorney is going to have to talk to the pro se person. You can't just ignore them and don't talk with them. That's not allowed. You are supposed to treat the pro se litigant just the same way that you would treat any other attorney. And you wouldn't be able to, under the rules of professionalism, just ignore the other attorney and not talk with them and not do the things that you're supposed to do. You have to treat them fairly, but it generally will mean that your case will end up being just a little bit more expensive than it otherwise would be. And that is something that is generally unexpected, that people, they don't think about that kind of thing, and it shocks them a lot of times.